Hello everybody, this is Shady here, and today I want to talk about the Dustbloods, which is obviously the new From Software game coming to Switch 2 in 2026. Mainly, I'm going to discuss some of the kind of, I guess you want to call them controversies, or kind of, I guess, fan outrage or whatever. I don't know if that's really, maybe that's a bit harsh of a word. But yeah, I just want to talk about it and kind of give my thoughts, really. So, there's a couple of things, really. So, firstly, we have the whole kind of it being Switch 2 exclusive, and we've got people upset about that. And, I mean, I understand this to a certain extent, but, it also irritates me when people do this, because, exclusives have always been a thing in gaming. I don't know who these people are who constantly complain. This reminds me of exactly the same situation as Bloodborne on the PS4 back in the day. It's like people don't seem to understand Bloodborne, and same with this game, wouldn't exist without the funding of Sony and for Dustbloods in the case of Nintendo. Nintendo are funding this game, making it, it wouldn't exist without them. So, and you need to sell hardware, and how you do that is having exclusive content. And I think, for a lot of us, that was the one game that kind of sealed that we have to get this system. For me, I found the showing, I wouldn't necessarily say underwhelming, but just okay. But then as soon as we saw From Software, I was hyped. And the exclusives are part of the industry. I feel like there's, certain groups of gamers, namely I feel like PC guys and people on Xbox, because they don't get exclusives, they complain about them. It's been the cornerstone of gaming. The original NES wouldn't have been successful if it wasn't for Mario being one of the games available. That's just gaming. Deal with it, okay? But yeah, next up, obviously, we got some From Software fans, obviously a bit annoyed, because obviously if you guys don't know what this game is going to be, the Dustbloods is essentially going to be a kind of 8-player player versus enemy multiplayer game. And obviously, with Elden Ring Night Rain also being kind of a 3-player co-op online game, a lot of people are kind of annoyed with this kind of multiplayer online pivot from Software. But in my opinion, let's be honest now, From Software existed before Dark Souls, Demon Souls. I know a lot of people don't realize this, but they were a company that always made really interesting, unique games. You look at their work on the GameCube, the Xbox, the PlayStation. They've always just made cool, unique, interesting games. And on top of that, when you look at the Souls games in particular, because obviously this has elements of a Souls game, but the looks of it, if you look, those games have always, from the first one, Demon Souls, they've always had an online component. You've always been able to either invade people or go cooperative. And Demon Souls had world tenancy, and there was all sorts of cool online connectivity. So this is kind of just a natural progression of the Souls formula. Yes, I agree, it's annoying that we don't have a full RPG. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit disappointed when I found out this wasn't just gonna be a single player Souls-like game. But obviously, they've done a lot of those games. I'm sure they probably will have another Souls game at some point. I'm sure there's definitely will do an Elden Ring 2. I think that game was too successful to not do a sequel. Also with this game, it's being done by Miyazaki himself, unlike bloody Night Rain. I have to admit, I'm not that convinced with Night Rain. I'm not gonna lie, I am one of the people who isn't that impressed with it personally, because I'm failing to see the longevity of the game. But at least you can do it single player, so it won't be a dead game. But with this game, obviously this is going to be my own speculation, because we don't know a lot about it. But I can see the potential of what this game can be, or may potentially be. In my opinion, or what I would like to see is, imagine a Dark Souls Bloodborne-esque type map or something like that. But you have 8 different players. Either you could be doing it single, teams of 2, or 4 teams of 2, or 2 teams of 4, or something like that, on different parts of the map. Basically, taking out enemies, fighting each other, and then ultimately like defeating a boss in an area. Like, if it's like that, and there's a lot of content in this map, even if it's just one giant map, almost similar to like a little battle royale type game where you're going inside the map slowly. I don't know, maybe like it becomes darker and enemies become more dangerous, so you're kind of pushed inside and then eventually you have to fight a boss. Or it could be that you're free to explore, and you can kind of meet players along the way, and the ultimate goal is to defeat the boss or something, and obviously the team, or the person who does it, kind of wins the match, I guess. I'm assuming it's going to be like that, but as long as there's still like that From Software kind of exploration in the maps, the battle system looks really cool in my opinion. I'm seeing, like, from what I can tell, it looks like there'll be different classes. It could almost be like a hero type game in a way, by the looks of it, because we saw different people fighting in different ways. There was even like the one dude who had like a jetpack. There was the lady with the like the hat, who looked like she was fighting with some kind of sickle or something. And yeah, I think it looks kind of cool. So I'd say wait and see. Like, I understand, yes, it would have been cool if it was like, because obviously we all want Bloodborne 2, and I think we were all hoping, thinking this is basically like kind of off-brand Bloodborne 2 in a way, but yeah, obviously it didn't turn out to be that way. But it looks close enough to it. The art style looks amazing. Miyazaki knows what he's doing in terms of game design, and I'm all for them doing something different, because that's kind of what From Software were about before the Souls games. And like I said, I think we're definitely getting an Elden Ring 2 at some point. They're probably just not in any rush to do it, because it was obviously quite the undertaking. So I'm not surprised they're doing a couple of smaller projects while they're at it. It may even be that the next like true Souls like will be something different, maybe in a different world. But yeah, I will be shocked if we don't get a second Elden Ring at some point. But yeah, I would imagine Miyazaki just wants to do some different stuff, and he could always be just someone overseeing the Elden Ring 2 project, not necessarily developing it, because like the Souls formula is pretty much set in stone in my opinion. I know, because of Dark Souls 2, people don't want a non-Miyazaki Souls game, but when you look at like other games like Neo and Lies of P and some other Souls games out there, they're pretty good. I still think the From Software ones are better, but yeah, it's not like too difficult to make a Souls game without Miyazaki, or at least as the sort of lead developer. So they may potentially be working on another one, we don't know. Just wait and see. But like I said, I'm personally really hyped for this game. I'm really looking forward to it. Can't wait to see more of it. And it's basically like, so basically for the Switch one, as soon as they announced Bayonetta 3, I was like, I'm getting one. And like, that's basically what this is for me. So as soon as they announced From Software game, it's like, yeah, I'm buying this. Yeah, anyway guys, thanks for watching as always, and have a great rest of your day. And yeah, like I said, people are entitled to their opinions, but I think just wait and see, guys. And yeah, don't get too upset over this, because it is coming out next year, so clearly, they'll probably be working on something else pretty soon anyway, so don't worry. Anyway, have a great rest of your day.